Vickie. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Miss Vickie. How are you today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Woke up to a sunny morning, but a lawnmower in my window, so outside of my window. But I'm doing great for the most part. And so I just wanted to talk to you about how you're managing your multiple sclerosis symptoms and how long ago were you diagnosed to begin with?
Thanks. I am managing my MS symptoms with a combination of diet, lifestyle, and medication. And I'm following the Overcoming MS program, and it was developed by Dr. George Jelinek in Australia, who also has MS. And it was built on the foundations of Dr. Roy Swank and the research that he did. And I was diagnosed in 2017. But my first discernible symptoms were about 12 years before that. And I wasn't diagnosed at that time, but it did get my attention. And I started living a little bit healthier. I gravitated towards a more vegetarian diet. I started doing meditation. I started doing yoga. And I went for about 11 years before I had another relapse.
Wow. Wow. That sounds like you got it under control. It's awesome. It's so awesome. Yeah. So I know that MS can be very unpredictable. How have you seen any unpredictability with, I know you're following the diet and things like that, but have you ever experienced any out of nowhere, like, oh my goodness, I have a balance issue today. I didn't have it yesterday. I was doing so great. Have you ever experienced any of those issues?
Oh, sure. I think we all have, you wake up one morning, you go, wait a minute, where did that symptom come from? Or I've been feeling so good. Why are my symptoms flaring today? I really try to track what could possibly cause a flare of symptoms or something new. And a lot of times it has to do with illness or stress or heat or diet, or there's so many factors. Maybe I ate something accidentally that I shouldn't have, and my body had a reaction to it. Or maybe I have a slight fever and therefore my signals aren't getting through the way they should. This past year, 2020, with the pandemic, it's been stressful for us all. So I have had a flare of symptoms this past year. And the way I deal with it when I have a flare of symptoms is to first recognize, it's going to happen. It is an unpredictable disease. We are going to have days where we don't know what the day is going to be like. And, just be kind with myself and be gentle with myself. If I'm having a high fatigue day, I need to recognize that and not try to push through it, but do take care of myself. And if I'm having muscle spasms that are interfering with my daily activities, I need to recognize that and say, okay, maybe today I need to take some baclofen.
All right, that sounds amazing. I also know that this can be very stressful, like you stated. So what do you do to minimize stress? That can
I try to minimize stress. I have not mastered it yet. I do a daily meditation practice. I try to meditate every morning for at least 20 minutes. And I do find when I stray from my meditation practice that it does catch up with me. I also make sure that I get plenty of rest. Sleep is really important to me. If I'm not sleeping well, that's going to compound the stress. I make sure that I'm exercising well, make sure I'm getting those good endorphins, those good stress, good exercise hormones, and I eat a good diet. I make sure that my social life, my family, my friends, my church life, I pay attention to that to make sure I can keep my stress levels down.
Yes, ma'am. And how do you feel, what is your support group like? Do you have a great support group? Because I know sometimes like MSers sometimes struggle with good support groups. Sometimes they do have some great support groups. Like for myself, I have a great support group, but sometimes I still end up feeling alone just out of nowhere. And it's not their fault. It's on me, it's my mind playing tricks with me. But either way, how is your support group?
Yeah, like you said, we all have our own support groups, and I think it's really important to cultivate those. My family has been incredibly supportive, and I lean on them a lot, especially my dear husband. And I have a tribe of friends, and I make sure that I stay in close contact with them, and they always lift my spirits, and they're there to, shoulder for me to cry on when I need it. I make sure that I have a group of MS buddies that I keep in contact with. I have online support groups I'm part of, and I also am an OMS ambassador. I am the leader of an OMS support group, and we meet monthly. We've been meeting on Zoom recently, and we always have a discussion topic, and everybody throws in their advice and their opinions, and we can learn a lot from each other. And I think my spiritual group, my church group, is very important to me. Having that grounding once a week or twice a week is very important to me. So those are the kind of groups that I have for support. How about you? What kind of groups do you have?
The same friends. I call them. I'm like, hey, are you guys ready? Because I have something to tell you, or I have to vent, or I have to, just let it out. And they're there for me. My husband, my son, they're always like, okay, I know you're having a hard day, or I know you're having, something's going on. So, that how can I help, or what can I do? Things like that. So they're very supportive on that. But yeah, that's actually how I cope with it. I go for a run, a jog, a walk, or something whenever I can't, I just can't think right, or can't process things correctly. I'll just go. I'll start walking, and there's nice little trails around here, so there's water, and I love to see the ducks and things like that, just kind of get my mind off of the stressful situation that was going on. But if I'm having like a spasm, like a little spasm on my leg, on my foot, that kind of alarms me. So I'm just like, oh my God, like I don't want it to get worse, so then I'll relax, I'll soak my feet, I'll meditate, I'll pray. Prayer meditation has really, really helped me. Kind of like, I know you were stating your, prayer and your church group and things like that. My church group is really awesome too. They used to meet every Tuesday. I used to meet every so often with them. However, with the pandemic and everything, it's just, going online and seeing the masses and things like that. So it's really not a lot of interaction at the moment with my church group. But either way, I stay in contact with God all the time, and I'm always praying. And so that really, really helps me. But yeah. Yeah, so just some of the ways that you cope with, have you ever had any vision issues?
I've been lucky. I have not had optic neuritis. My symptoms are primarily sensory, and I have numbness on my left side, and I have some pain that's associated with that when I exercise. I have fatigue and muscle spasms and cog fog, and sometimes I just don't sleep because of the spasms.
Well, okay, sleep, another good topic. What do you do for sleep? Because sleep, that's what I fight with all the time. Like I'm always thinking of new ways, or figuring out new ways of trying to be able to get a good night's rest. Have
Yeah.
you figured out your sleep number? Because I don't know. Is it like the hours? For me, it's 6 hours. If I get 6 hours, I'm good.
Yeah,
And
I try to get between 7 and 8 hours a night. I keep a consistent bedtime, and I try to have good sleep hygiene habits. I try to keep the room cool and keep it dark. No screens in the bedroom, no phones, no TVs. I try to make sure I don't drink wine too close to dinner. I'm at that age where I'm going through menopause, so sometimes hot flashes interfere with my sleep. So I'm working with my doctors to try to alleviate some of those symptoms. And, I know that it's really important for our brains to have that rest time, to have that sleep. That's when the repair happens. That's when the junk gets cleaned out. So I do try to focus really hard on getting good sleep, and doing the things that I know will help me sleep. I meditate a lot. I try to do 10 meditative breaths before I go to sleep, and also 10 meditative breaths when I first wake up. So I end my day and start my day that way.
okay, I'm gonna take that tip.
Oh,
Because yeah, I do the same. I try to meditate. Stretching for me has really helped me. Stretching in the morning, stretching at night, like good deep stretches. like kind of like in the workout stretch, kind of like 10-15 second stretches, make sure. So those have really helped me, and they're kind of meditative at the same time. So, but yeah, but menopause is something I'm afraid of, because I know our body overheats internally. And even when when I on my menstrual cycle now, my body overheats and the symptoms kind of exacerbate, is what I feel. But then they go away. But either way, how are you dealing with that? And has it really, how has it impacted you here recently with menopause?
Sure. I think the biggest impact is trying to figure out, is it menopause or is it MS? Because menopause has a lot of similar symptoms, sleeplessness, cog fog, forgetting words, and the hot
Yes.
flashes. I can't say that I have seen a direct correlation with the hot flashes in my symptoms. I do notice if I have several restless nights in a row, then my symptoms tend to flare. But I don't notice, oh, I've had a hot flash, so I'm experiencing more numbness. It's not a direct one-to-one there, but I do notice when it interferes with my sleep a lot, then I tend to have more symptoms.
Okay. And how do you keep those symptoms at bay? Is it just the same practices that you already had incorporated, same meditation, same
Yeah, I
stuff?
do a lot of the same practices. I've also tried adding some medications on the advice of my doctor to help with the hot flashes. Being mindful of alcohol, being mindful of caffeine, making sure that my body is properly hydrated, exercise, meditation, good food, all the things that we know, not too much junk food, things like that.
Yeah, that's hard for me. Yeah, I try so hard. But do you ever use a cooling blanket or any cooling things, other than, I know you stated you keep your room cool? Because for me, my body overheats, especially when I'm on my menstrual cycle. So that's why I dread menopause, but I know it's coming. I know it's coming later in a few years. But so either way, do you use a cooling blanket or any other things, other than, do you have a fan in your room or things like that to keep it
I
cool?
do have a fan in my room, and it's interesting. I like the fan because it moves the air, but also I like the white noise. I think that helps me a lot.
Oh,
The cooling, I haven't used a cooling blanket, but when I exercise, sometimes I'll put a wet cooling wrap around my neck, or one of the cooling towels around my neck when I'm exercising, because that helps me to keep from overheating when I'm exercising.
all right, all right. Well, do you have any tips for anyone else that is going through menopause that you can provide them with, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Listen to your body. A lot of times our bodies are going to tell us what we need. And so you'll get the rest that you need. Eat the foods that are good. Try not to go into the cravings. I tend to go for the salty, crunchy cravings. Give me potato chips, and I have to resist that, because I know when I eat too much salt, I'm going to retain water. And if I eat junk food, it's going to make me feel worse in the long run. And, work with your doctor. I am not anti-medicine at all. I like to do a lot of natural, take care of myself with diet, exercise, and lifestyle changes, but medicine can be very helpful, so don't be afraid to try that.